Like Michelle Williamson, many of these people have lost close family members.
I will say we are in the same boat. We are hurt the same as you are. We are, and locally the Libyans are suffering from his crimes, from what he did all over the world. The embargoes, because of that, the Libyans suffer from that.
Just yards away, Colonel Gaddafi was about to address the UN.
We're just here at the press stakeout room in the UN. Colonel Gaddafi is due to arrive here in about 20 minutes. This is the closest that we're going to get to him, and I'm going to try and throw a question to him as he comes in through that door.
Colonel Gaddafi, Vinny's in Northern Ireland. Are you going to compensate the victims of IRA violence? Are you going to compensate the victims of IRA violence that you funded? Are you in active negotiations in Britain? Colonel Gaddafi, are those people who were blown up by Semtex you supplied to the IRA, are they going to get their compensation?
Outside, Willie Fraser couldn't resist one last protest.
Colonel Gaddafi trained one of the worst terrorist organisations in Western Europe, who in turn trained other terrorist organisations who murdered people from all around the world. Yes. Gaddafi is responsible for that. Yes, not just in Northern Ireland, but all over the world. So we thank you for welcoming us here today, and we want to let you know that we are united and justice will win through at the end of the day. Gaddafi will be held accountable. No surrender! No surrender! No surrender!
But has there been a surrender? How is the proposed multi-million-pound Peace and Reconciliation Fund going to work?
Well, first of all, the victims, the IRA victims who've taken the case against Libya will have to be compensated. Indeed, the wider group of IRA victims who had loved ones killed or who themselves were injured will also need to benefit from whatever settlement is derived through our negotiations with Libya. But the legal advisors are developing a proposal which would involve the establishment of a fund that would be to promote peace and reconciliation, and that would be designed to benefit all of the victims of terrorism in the UK.
I've been talking to Northern Irish politicians, civil servants in this country, in the Foreign Office, of how this might best shape up. I think a benefit to Northern Ireland would be some form of peace and reconciliation package at this time in the process, which is benefit to a very wide definition, which is on community projects.
But how can campaigners guarantee that those who planted bombs will not benefit from such a fund?
The way in which the fund is established and set up, the articles that comprise the legal basis for the fund can be written in such a way as to exclude those who used violence or were engaged in acts of terrorism to further their objectives. We're very clear about that. That's one of the reasons why we're seeking to change the current definition of a victim in legislation in the Assembly.
At present, Geoffrey Donaldson thinks the law in Northern Ireland fails to distinguish properly between the victims and perpetrators of violence. But his efforts to change the definition of a victim may encounter stiff opposition from Sinn Féin.
Can I remind him that the UDR were responsible for a total of 8 deaths in the Troubles?
I think it's clear that does not
some of them members of paramilitary organisations.
Sinn Féin declined to take part in this programme. Opponents of change fear that distinguishing between victims and perpetrators would in effect create a hierarchy of victims in Northern Ireland.
The reality is that there are over 3,600 people bereaved, there are between 40 and 50,000 people injured. They all are victims. There's no such thing as an innocent victim. What I'm saying to those unionist politicians that take those people to Libya is that they're only dealing with half of the truth.
So would Libya be prepared to finance a peace and reconciliation fund that could only be accessed by those Geoffrey Donaldson considers to be innocent victims? Are you confident that Libya will adhere to your definition of a victim, even if you get your legislation passed? Do you think Libya will take note of that legislation when they're paying out this money?
It's a matter for the Libyans to take their own view on this. But we are absolutely clear in our discussions with them, and we will continue to be clear, that any reconciliation fund must be about providing support and care for those who have suffered as a result of terrorism, not providing a financial reward for those who caused the suffering in the first place.
But Relatives for Justice have a different perspective, which they say they've made known to the Libyans.
Well, we've provided information to the Libyans in terms of issues around collusion, issues about arming the Loyalists, issues about agents being run that were using some of that weaponry that they were alleged to have imported to the IRA. And what we said clearly to them is that in our response and in our information to them is that they shouldn't put their hands in their pockets until we establish exactly who is culpable, because they would be paying compensation for issues to which they had no control of, when in fact Whitehall and Downing Street and the intelligence community had full control of.
We don't have a problem with people benefiting from this fund right across the board, but the people who have to benefit first are the people who actually were affected by the actions of Colonel Gaddafi and the IRA. Now, that doesn't mean if they come along and say, I'm worth the Joe Blogs, and if I want whatever, £10,000, it can't work like that.
It's clear there are still fundamental differences that need to be resolved, but the man who started the campaign with Willie Fraser is confident a deal will be done.
I think that as it's in the interests of everyone to resolve this matter, that's the interests of the victims, the interests of the British people, the interests of the Libyan people, that there will be a settlement.
As parliamentarians and their team prepare to fly out to Libya on Saturday, Manya Dickinson is one of the bereaved relatives hoping to meet Colonel Gaddafi in Tripoli later this year.
I would like to say to him, do you realise what you've done to me personally and my family? It's easy to say, get on with your life, it's time to move forward. Northern Ireland's now new beginnings, new government, we're now moving forward. It's not, you can't do that until you see justice done that you think is justice, not what the government thinks is justice. Then you can move forward. You'll never get over it, you learn to live with it, but you can start moving forward when some degree of justice is done.